Okay, Coach, great performance at the Garden last game. Nice to get back in that win column. You know, as we're in February now, how do you, if you do, look at January as a coach versus February?
Well, as you get into the end of December to the end of January, it's about learning to get better to be a much better team come February. In the last game against Villanova, I said, okay, it's two teams, triumph an NCAA berth. The winner's going to have a shot, the loser's going to be in deep trouble. So that's the way you're going to play this game tonight, as if the NCAA bid is on the line. And they were magnificent on defense.
Soriano was great. A little bit of a throwback game. He was in a little bit of a rut. You've defended him, you know, kind of dispersing the blame all around, rightfully so, but he was a beast. He played great. Second half, he was awesome.
He did, and he, like Bernard King, we talked many times about throwing the ball. He wanted the ball. Get me the ball, and they got it to him.
So, St. John's fans, certainly for a while, and you talked about this at your presser, we've lived it as fans doing these games. I've seen it, obviously. There hasn't been a whole lot to cheer about for a while on that big level. Does it mean anything to you to sweep the season series from Villanova for the first time since '92? '92.
What it means is we're one step closer to becoming a better team in February, which is the ultimate goal of trying to make the tournament. Obviously, if you go back to the Michigan game, you would say this is not a tournament team. They're not good enough. And if you look at the Villanova defense, you would say this is a tournament team. So now we have, there are teams like Providence, Villanova, Xavier Butler, Seton Hall, all fighting to be part of the top part of the league. Connecticut's going to be a fight, and we've got to be ready to go out there and play hard.
And that place is going to be absolutely on fire this weekend. UConn, you mentioned them. You know, the whole thing with the Louis' 100th birthday, and, you know, it was actually complimenting UConn. Maybe they didn't take it that way up there. That's their problem.
You know, it's amazing when you compliment someone. Boy, I really love that jacket.
Thanks, Coach.
What do you mean by that? I love my jacket.
What, does it not fit
should
right?
I have wore something else?
Yeah. I mean, it's great. It's petty, but you know what? It tells me from the outside looking in that UConn is now paying attention to St. John's. They didn't have to worry about St. John's for a long time.
All those comments are great theater about punching up to get 3,000-4,000 more people in the Garden, thinking that there is no rivalry yet. They are number one in the nation. We're trying to build a program, but the fact that you have a sold-out Madison Square Garden is a tribute to them and a tribute to our fans thinking we have a chance to win.
Yeah, they've always traveled well. We know that. Even Syracuse back in the day, a few other schools in the Big East. Nova generally travels pretty well as well. So I know that they're number one, literally. Do you think they're the best team in the country?
When we played them last time, they're coming off losing to Seton Hall by 15, and they could have lost to us. So they were an average to good team at that point. So it's Seton Hall. So once the big guy came back, we played him in the first round of the tournament. The performance the other night against Xavier was better than when they entered the tournament, and they were damn good when they entered the tournament. So they are deserving, with the big guy, of being number one in the country, because I don't know what's better. There's three areas I look at them. Their talent. Their last five guys were brilliant. Their size or their defense. They've got answers to everything. They get in foul trouble, great backup. 2 6'4" guards, we got backups. Cam Spencer, we got a backup. So they're deep, they're talented, they execute well.
But everybody's got a weakness. So as you look at the film, without giving away state secrets here, what can you exploit? What is their greatest weakness?
This team really doesn't have a glaring weakness. They don't. Every team has a 1 or 2, 3 weaknesses. This team doesn't have a glaring weakness. If they shoot the ball really well, they're almost invincible.
Okay.
Because they have such a great low post attack. So we've got to make sure that they don't shoot really well from the perimeter, put a stop to that, and then we've got to be really tenacious inside.
So let's go back to that last game. Heartbreaker. I mean, that was a battle. Guys could easily won that, as we know. What has improved with your team, the most detectable improvement since that game? That makes you very
We're a
proud.
better team defensively.
Okay.
But they are, if I had to rate them on a 1 to 10 without their center, they're like a 6-7. With their center, they're a 9-10.
Got it.
They're the best team in the country and deserving of their ranking. You know, as I look at teams, I said, you know, Kentucky's really good, but I could see them losing. Arizona's really good, but Purdue, but with Connecticut, there's no buts. There's no buts because they're so deep, so talented, and here's a great compliment for them. They play so hard.
They do.
They were up 25, 30 points, and you would have thought they were down 15 with 5 to go. So that's a credit to them. They've got to make sure that they sustain this for another 6 weeks.
Yeah. When you see Danny Hurley, obviously his dad, a legend, St. Anthony's, Jersey City, do you see similarities when you were younger in Danny Hurley? Any style that matches or not?
No, Bob was very tough on his players. Danny's not as tough as Bob. Bob could undress you like no coach could ever undress him.
He was out there.
But they got up in the passing lane, that team. They would deny. They would get way up here and stop you from entering the ball.
Okay.
And he wouldn't let you reverse the ball. So different styles, both of them. And then Bobby's very much different at Arizona State.
Okay, so we noticed last game, Wiltshire, a little bit off the ball. Interesting. He looked comfortable. We've seen some snippets. It's funny, like Dunlap had those 3 or 4 games where he really popped, and then, his shot deserted him a bit. I think we talked about he's going to get it back because he's a shooter. Whereas Wiltshire, it's been a little less detectable. But off the ball, the design was to take the pressure off him, not to run the show. What'd you see?
You have so many different offensive sets that you must get into, predicated on how the defense is playing you. That's an awful lot to ask for a freshman to play that position. Every great point guard I've had never has been able to do that as a freshman. When you're off the ball, it's a lot easier. So I started playing him off the ball just to take all the mental thought. When you have to think and play at the same time, as most freshmen do, it takes away from your skills and your talents.
All right, so we're in February. I mentioned that at the outset here. And we talked about metrics on the previous show. At the time of taping right now, I believe you guys are around that 35, 36 spot, which is a very good place to be. And everybody focuses on quad 1s and quad 2s, and that obviously matters. But you've talked about the quad 4, which is what you really need to avoid because the committee doesn't forget that. And that seems to be, I don't think, incorporated enough in the resume for you guys so far. You say it, but I think you should probably illuminate
If
that
Providence
more.
lost to Georgetown the other day, which they could have,
Yeah.
that's going to really hurt them in the net. So you got to be very careful because right now, everybody's in from, Seton Hall, believe it or not, is like 73 in the net, which is surprising to me, to be honest with you.
I saw that.
But everybody else is in the 50s, 40s, and 30s. If you go to Georgetown and DePaul, they're up there. So if you lose to them, you could lose 15, 18 points in the net.
So this is a good way to kind of go back to what you just said about Kentucky going back, the villain, 24,000 people against you. Do you think, and you're just starting at St. John, so maybe it's not a complete answer, but instinctually, what do you feel? Tougher to reignite the Kentucky program where the fan interest never waned, or to resuscitate a sleeping giant like St. John's where the fandom has gone somewhat dormant for a while?
St. John's is the toughest job I've ever had, and I've had all tough jobs. Providence was dead last since the inception of the Big East, or tied for last with Seton Hall. Kentucky was shame, on probation for 2 years when I took over. Louisville was about as bad as any period of the great Denny Crum's legacy. They were down really low. Iona wasn't down.
No, they've always been powerful
Always
on the
been
back.
up, so that
Yep.
wasn't down. This is the toughest program by far I've ever accepted.
Yeah, no, I don't.
Because
makes sense.
it's not what takes place between the lines. It's not that the program and the fans have gone away. It's everything. I can give you 20 different things that's wrong with this program that we're fixing as I'm talking right now.
Yep.
But they didn't pay attention to those things at all for 20 years.
I know. No, I understand. Trust me, I saw it. All right, so let's fast forward, whether it's this year, Big East tournament. Does Rick Pitino have a red suit, a white suit, a red and white suit that he's plotting out?
For which
I don't
game?
know. Coming out to the Garden? Well, you tell me. I mean, you did it at other stops.
Well,
Would
there
you
is
do that
I
at St.
believe we
John's?
have a whiteout.
Yeah.
I believe we have a whiteout.
Would you do that?
Yeah, probably I would do that.
Not
If
many
I can
guys
still
can-
fit
I was
into
gonna say,
it,
not
yeah.
many guys can pull that. You pulled it off well. You did. You looked
Yeah,
good, man.
look, if everybody's wearing white, I'd be wearing white. If everybody was wearing black, I'd be wearing black. So with me is get involved with the fans as much as possible. Have some fun, have some laughs with it.
Yeah.
And then once the game starts, coach the team.
So 20,000, I'm going to wrap up on this. And 20,000, it's going to be a sellout this weekend. What, of the 20,000, what percentage you think will be St. John's fans? In a couple of years, what do you think that percentage will be?
Well, I'll say if it's 19,800, whatever
Yeah,
it
it
may
used to be
be.
19,763.
Yeah, I'll say it'll be about 11,000, and the rest will be Connecticut.
Okay.
We'll have 11 to 12 will be us, and then 7 to 8 will be UConn.
And then 2-3 years down the road, Rick Pitino's fingerprints all over this program, as you hope and fully expect it will be. That number
With
becomes
Connecticut,
19?
what it'll be is, for Creighton Marquette,
Yeah.
it'll be all 15,000 people there.
For sure.
It'll be mostly us. When you play Kentucky, and you play Kansas, and you play New Mexico, and you play, those people travel. You can't keep them out. Like when we played Kentucky at Louisville, it holds 19, almost 20,000 fans. No matter how much you tried to keep them out, they were there 6,000, 7,000 all the time.
Yeah.
You're never going to keep Connecticut out unless you play it in Coneseca.
Got it. Hey, good luck. Let's
you.
take these guys down,
All
man.
right,
Let's get
thanks.
this one back. There he is, Rick Pitino, head coach of St. John's. Quick timeout, and the Red Storm Report rolls on next.